You've taken over a year to make this album.
We've taken our time with it. We could have blocked out 3 months and done it, but we didn't want to do it like that. You know, when we wrote Spiceworld, there was a lot going on. We were doing the movie. It was all very intense. We wanted to enjoy the process a lot more. There's no rush. You know, we want to enjoy our lives. We want to go off and explore new ventures and things. But, you know, we want to make a good album. So spread over the long periods of time gives you a lot more scope.
Did you find recording together enjoyable, especially now that there's only the 4 of you?
The main thing that I miss, I expect we're all the same probably, when we're doing our solo work, is a companionship. And you have loads of people around you, but it's not the same. Do you know what I mean? Because we are good mates, aren't we? And we do have a giggle. We have our ups and downs, but we do have a giggle.
Sometimes, you know, it can be, especially for you, I mean, being on tour and being on your own, it can be quite lonely sometimes. But it's good to have, you know, all of your friends around you. I think it's
just
good.
A different dynamic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I'd say that it now more than ever feels more equal. You know, we're all getting a chance to do everything. We're all getting a chance to speak up about what we believe in. You know,
so not so many power struggles.
No, it's a lot more relaxed, and I'd say that we're all, I mean, personally speaking, a lot happier. I mean, we're really having good fun with this album.
When all of you got back together to make this new album, what exactly was your starting point?
When we come together, it just happens. There's no explanation or back history work that you do. It's just when we're together, it's like, zzz,
yeah,
and it just comes alive.
But because a lot of people were like, when we said about we were working with Rodney Jerkins, Jamilist, everyone was like, oh, so it's really R&B then. And the thing is, it is obviously moved on naturally, but it has to be sparkly and still, you know, that everything's got that edge.
How involved are you in the production process?
I think probably less on this album than the other two, because I think with Rodney, he's such a fantastic producer, and it's, you know, the songs are our babies, but the production's his thing, you know what I mean? So, but if there's anything we didn't like, he'd come back and play it. Hey girls, what do you think of this? If there's something we didn't like, it'd be changed. But really, you'd have to go off and let him work and do his magic, isn't it really? Whereas in the past, we've worked more closely because they've been, you know, people who we've known for longer, and it's all been in England. So.
Has recording with mostly American producers made this album sound a little more American maybe than your first 2 albums?
This is more American sounding for us, but then I think that's the way that pop music's going.
But, you know, also I think it's really difficult to say now about, you know, music being from a certain country, because we can be in a studio, it doesn't matter where in the world, you've got the same equipment, you know, you can have an American producer, English musicians, and, you know, there's just, I mean, when I was doing my album, there was like people from all over the world, and some of it was written in England, some of it was written in Ireland, some of it was recorded in America, and music's universal now. So it really doesn't matter. It's a combination of talents, international talents.
Now the song Right Back At You seems to be, to me, your message to all those people that told you that you'd never make it this far. Am I correct with that?
I think that was one of the things that we wanted to put across in one of the tracks. We just feel like since the first single, Wannabe, the song that broke us into the world of pop music, and people have been saying, oh, it's the end of them, they're a one-hit wonder, they're this, they're that. And we've had to deal with that all the way through our career. And here we are with our 3rd album coming right back at you. So it's just about that, really.
Did writing Right Back At You maybe help you get rid of some of the frustrations in your system?
We wrote that with Elliot, who worked on our last 2 albums, and he did Say You'll Be There and stuff like that. And we like that track, don't we? It's kind of just a track saying we're coming back.
Here.
We're back, even though people said we weren't.
Since we brought out Wannabe, I mean, I know it's a bit, we don't really talk about it that much, but every now and again it does crop up with one of us. It's like, since we released Wannabe, people have been saying, the press, oh, they'll never release a second single. Oh, they'll never release a first album. Oh, they'll never release a second album. It's been a constant thing. And it's like even now, oh, they'll break up after this 3rd album. It's like, come on, we've been doing it for 5 years. We're still here. We're still doing what we're doing. And we've got the pleasure of being able to go off and do our own thing, as well as still being a rock solid band, which I think people can't comprehend that.
Why can't they just enjoy what we do, our albums? You know, it'd be so nice if the press said, oh, we're looking forward to this next album, and saying, oh, after this album, they're definitely breaking up. It's like, oh.
They always have to have an angle.
Why everything have to be so negative? It should be, you know, positive.
Have your fans stayed with you right from the first start with Wannabe?
I'd like to hope so. And I think on this album maybe we will get more fans, because even though we still sound like the Spice Girls, it is a different sound for us, isn't it? It's more R&B. It is more grown up. It's not so poppy as we were. So I'm hoping that we are going to keep the same fans and hopefully more.
I've found doing a lot of touring, just doing my solo stuff as well. There's so many Spice fans out there, and I get banners at my gigs for Spice. And it's like they're so supportive through everything we've done, all of our solo ventures and, everything we do as a team. They're just there for us. So we've got really good fans and we're lucky because they've been waiting a while for this one, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Is your fan base still as strong as ever?
Our fans all over the world have always been
brilliant.
Always been by our sides, always been writing, when's the next single? We love it's always so positive with all our fans throughout the world.
And it's mad because we'll get letters that say Emma London or Melanie London, and it gets to your house. It's funny.
It's mad.
We have a still good flow of fan mail coming through the Spice office and the Spice website and stuff like that.
It's the best part.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's from like 2-year-olds to 74-year-olds.
At the moment, I'm getting a big rush of 16-year-old boys.
Oh, great.
It's quite nice that.
Over.
Yeah. I was thinking that I might write the next one. Can you send Mel some? You get like a different, a couple of weeks ago I was getting real babies, children, mums writing in saying, oh, my little girl. And then you get a rush of 16-year-old boys. It's great.
What was you wearing that week?
I don't know, exactly.
Being regarded as icons, really, by a lot of your fans.
I think it's really hard to say, do you know what I mean? We are lucky that we get fan mail and being able to write back to people and, they say, oh, I really want to do this at school. How do I, and it's lovely that we can write back and give them our opinions, but you never go, oh, I'm an icon.
Today?
I
don't think any of us think like that. I think we're too busy in just doing and enjoying what we're doing. And, every now and again you get a massive, overwhelming feedback and it's that overwhelming. It's like, you just don't know what to do with it apart from be immensely grateful. I think as well, I don't know about you, but I was quite shocked to hear the statistics of how many times people are requesting the Spice Girls videos still.
When you started writing for this new album, were you confident that you would be able to write the right songs? And, did you end up with enough correct material?
We wrote a lot of songs that aren't on the album, didn't we? Yeah. I think it was just about personal experiences that we've all been through, ways that we're all feeling. Obviously, we've done a lot of travelling,
We've never said, we need another Wannabe. There's a lot of pop acts where record company and management are very influential in the artistic side, which I think is a shame because the band's the band, unless they're puppets, which some unfortunately are. But, we've always been very in control of our music. And so we've never gone out to make the perfect records. We've gone out to do what we want to do, what we feel comfortable with, whatever the climate of how we're feeling at the time. So, it just turns out the way it turns out.
Do you think it's important to write from your own personal experience? And if it is, how do you make that into a song?
Everybody takes on songs to adapt to their own situation. And even amongst the four of us, we do when we're writing. Somebody might listen to it and think, oh, it's about this, or it's about that. Somebody else might listen to it and think, oh, yeah, it's about how I was feeling last week.
We basically sit down, decide what kind of mood we're all in that day, which is usually the same.
Good.
And we just come up with melodies, lyrics. Sometimes we'll sit there and get a whole song done in 10 minutes, and another time it will take a whole day.
Stuck.
It just depends on the vibe we're in.
What was the saying we had? Let it incubate.
Yeah,
let it wait. Just let it incubate. Because
you'd write a whole song and you'd be stuck on one line, and you'd be like, right, I can't.
Driving you mad.
Yeah, it drives you mad. So you kind of put it away and let it rest, and then go back to it.
And it was funny as well when we first walked, or maybe it was the second time when we worked in Miami. We walked in the studio, and Rodney had obviously been tired because he works with, he does work with a lot of people, and it's not just us who he's worked with. And he had all these different tracks, like backbeats. We were like, nope, don't like that, don't like that. We made him do a whole new track for us there and then. He spent all night. We were like, when we come back to the studio, we want a track that sounds like this, 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 and this. Because obviously, whatever goes on our album, we have to be proud of, and we're very much involved in everything. And I think he thought, maybe they'll just have this track. And we were like, no.
So we sat down and went bass, and we want that louder, we want that louder, put that down.
Really annoyed him.
And he's a big time producer.
He's so sweet though, you know.
He's lovely.
So sweet, that guy.
This is the Music Factory.